Eddie strutted towards the stadium, hips swiveling with the confidence of 1,000 TikTok dancers. His rhinestone jumpsuit glittered, his pompadour defied gravity. Tonight, baby, he was Elvis.
Get ready to rumble, Memphis.
He bellowed at a startled security guard. The guard, a burly man with a bored expression, barely looked up.
Ticket, pal.
Eddie flashed a grin brighter than his gold-plated microphone.
Honey, I the ticket.
He sashayed past, leaving a trail of cheap cologne and shattered expectations. Tonight was going to be epic. The first sign that something was amiss was the distinct lack of blue hair dye. The second was the deafening chorus of "You Belong With Me" blasting from the speakers. Eddie stopped dead in his tracks. This wasn't the screaming mob of Elvis fans he'd envisioned.
Fellas, is this the Senior Citizens Home Matinee?
One roadie, his face pale under the stage lights, stammered,
This is Taylor Swift, man.
Eddie blinked.
Taylor who? Whatever. The king don't discriminate. Fans are fans.
The stage was a symphony of pastel colors and glitter cannons, an affront to everything Elvis stood for. This wouldn't do. Not one bit.
Get those fluffy unicorns out of here, and somebody fetch me some velvet. Red. The king demands it.
He grabbed a can of spray paint, his eyes gleaming with manic inspiration.
We're gonna make this stage fit for a king.
The crew watched in horrified silence as Eddie transformed their meticulously crafted stage into a chaotic homage to Graceland. The first chords of Love Story filled the air, sweet and melodic, resonating with the hearts of everyone present. The gentle strumming of the guitar created an atmosphere of romance and nostalgia. The crowd erupted, a wave of swaying arms and glowing cell phones lighting up the night. The energy was palpable, a sea of faces lost in the music, each person feeling the connection. Eddie, microphone in hand, watched in confusion. He had expected a different reaction, something more subdued. The overwhelming response left him momentarily speechless.
What in tarnation? He muttered, then shrugged. All right, folks, let's get this party started. His voice carried a mix of bewilderment and determination, ready to turn the unexpected moment into a memorable performance.
He launched into a rousing rendition of Hound Dog, his voice cracking with effort. The crowd, initially stunned into silence, began to murmur in confusion. Eddie's passionate performance was a stark contrast to the earlier romantic tune.
Is he yodeling? One girl whispered to her friend. The unexpected twist in the performance left many in the audience scratching their heads.
A security guard, alerted to the commotion, started pushing his way through the bewildered crowd. His presence added to the growing sense of confusion and anticipation.
What in the blue suede shoes is going on here? The question hung in the air, capturing the collective bewilderment of the audience. The night had taken an unexpected turn, leaving everyone wondering what would happen next.
The clash of musical genres was epic. Taylor Swift's pop anthems battled with Elvis's rock and roll, creating a sonic landscape that could only be described as interesting. The crowd was divided, with some swaying to the catchy pop beats while others rocked out to the classic tunes. It was a night where musical worlds collided and the energy was palpable. Eddie, oblivious to the growing chaos, was in his element. He gyrated across the stage, his jumpsuit shimmering under the stage lights. His moves were a blend of old-school rock and modern pop, creating a unique performance that was both mesmerizing and confusing. The lights danced off his outfit, making him the center of attention. He threw out scarves, blew kisses, and belted out lyrics with an enthusiasm that bordered on manic. His energy was infectious, and for a moment, it seemed like he might win the crowd over. But his over-the-top antics were too much for some. The audience, however, was less than impressed. Some booed, some laughed, some simply stared in bewilderment. The mixed reactions created a chaotic atmosphere, with pockets of the crowd reacting differently to Eddie's performance. It was clear that not everyone appreciated his unique style. The security guard, finally reaching the stage, grabbed Eddie's arm. The guard's stern expression contrasted sharply with Eddie's carefree demeanor. It was a moment of tension as the guard tried to restore order to the chaotic scene.
All right, buddy, show's over. Let's go. The guard's voice was firm but not unkind as he led Eddie away from the stage. The crowd watched in a mix of relief and disappointment, the night's unexpected turn leaving a lasting impression.
Eddie, ripped from his performance, looked genuinely surprised. He had been in the middle of his favorite song, the one he had practiced countless times in front of the mirror. The sudden interruption was not just unexpected, it was almost surreal.
But I was just getting started, Eddie exclaimed, his voice echoing through the venue. He had been building up to the climax of his act, and this abrupt halt was the last thing he wanted.
The crowd, sensing the impending end to this bizarre spectacle, erupted in a chorus of boos directed at the security guard. They had come for a Taylor Swift concert, but this unexpected twist had them hooked. The boos grew louder, a cacophony of discontent and unexpected support for the impersonator.
Let him sing, someone yelled from the back, their voice cutting through the noise. It was clear that Eddie had won over at least a part of the audience.
Yeah, we kinda like it, shouted another, this time from the front row. The sentiment was spreading, and the crowd's energy was shifting from confusion to excitement.
The security guard, outnumbered and outchanted, threw up his hands in defeat. He had no choice but to let the show go on. The power of the crowd was undeniable, and he knew better than to fight it.
Fine, fine, sing your heart out, Elvis. The guard's voice was a mix of frustration and resignation. He stepped back, allowing Eddie to reclaim the stage.
And so, under the confused gaze of a giant inflatable snake and a banner that read "Elvis rocks this town," Eddie resumed his performance. The stage was set for a night no one would forget. Eddie the Elvis impersonator finished his set to the thunderous applause of thousands of bewildered, yet strangely entertained, Taylor Swift fans. They had come for pop, but they got a taste of rock and roll history. It wasn't the gig he'd expected, but hey, the king always knew how to put on a show. Eddie had managed to turn an awkward situation into a memorable performance, proving that the spirit of Elvis was still very much alive.